I want to regale you, perhaps. This is
Welcome
like a
back to a new
welcome back to
episode
everybody
of Unthink Me
to the
with
Unthink Me show.
James and Adam and James.
This is a story called Adam Potter and the Magic Pine Cone. I wanted to tell you a little story today. Uh, and we don't really know how this is going to go. This might be dumb or not. We'll see. So
Well, when you put it that way,
it's okay. There's going to be this really awesome story that's going to kind of blow your mind.
oh my
And
God, when you
it's the
put it
coolest thing
that
ever.
way,
And it makes me look really good. And
great.
this is going to triple our subscriber base, just me
Great.
even just saying these words like
Okay,
this.
let's
I
have
was
at it.
in Portland, Oregon. At the time, I think I was a music teacher. And I was feeling, sometimes I feel a little down and out. Sometimes the shadow switch is kind of down, and I'm
Hmm.
questioning a lot of the things and my decisions and the people I spend time with and the way I spend my time. I start feeling kind of down. And I start kind of feeling this sense of like petitionariness. Like, come
Is this in
on,
retrospect? You're feeling down? You can recognize now, looking back, or you knew at the time like something's up, like I'm
I would
down.
say, yeah, I was feeling the feels, and I was in a state of questioning. I just spent time with a friend of mine that not there's no need to get into all that, but it got to this really weird place, and I walked out of their house, and it was unclear whether I was coming back or like whether it was just really weird. But then it just there's this sort of like awkwardness, and I kind of walked out, and I'm like, Jesus, what is this? What am I doing? And it zoomed out more and more until I'm like, wait, what? Like in general, what is this, and what am I doing? I kind of felt like I was sort of asking for help, like from the universe. Like I was just like,
Y-
I want something to kind of just like give me a beacon right now. As I'm thinking that, I'm squeezing something and I open my hand and it's one of those brown peggers, one of those solid, dense, spiky pine cones. And I'm, what? Did I pick this up? And I'm kind of thinking it over. I'm like, yeah, I did. I stooped and picked this up and I was like, what a cool pine cone. But I didn't like remember that. And it was just in my hand.
You're so in
And
your thoughts that it was just a non thing.
And it was weird. I don't do like everybody, like when you hike with me, I bend twigs because I read in some book that the Native Americans would do that so to mark their trail so that when they
Hmm.
went back, they would, and for some reason that stuck with me. And when I
I
walk,
do that to this day.
yeah, yeah, I just kind of tamper, I tremel. So it's not uncommon for me to do something like this, but it felt weird to me. I was like, I have a pine cone in my hand right now. And there was a sense like the pine cone felt important to me. Like it was kind of like looking back at me like, hey, what's
Mm-hmm.
up? I'm a fucking pine cone. Like, why are you a pine cone? What does this mean?
I'm like
And
a fucking pine cone full time.
I sort of just like let it have me. I just
Okay.
kind of like, what, pine cone? I'm here, I'm listening. And this narrative started trickling into my mind. This isn't a thing that I planned. I'm trying to say, this is just happened at me. Of course, I did it, but in my own consciousness, it felt like a thing that was like just kind of happening.
Hmm.
And what the pinecone seemed to want was it was saying like, I'm here, I'm the help. I will make you lucky. You will feel lucky and you will be lucky. I'm a lucky pinecone and I'm with you now. So I put that sucker in my pocket and I kept walking. And I was like, okay, I don't believe in anything, and this is silly. However, you're a cool pine cone.
Yeah.
I
What
will
does it
take
hurt to
your,
carry on? Yeah.
you seem to be telling me that you can make me lucky. I
I
wouldn't
mean, it
mind
seems
being
like a
lucky.
straight shooter.
I did ask. And so I said, okay, you're my lucky pine cone. I have a lucky pine cone. I'm blessed. I'm lucky now. For the next freaking season, I was just knocking it out of the park. I was on fire. Like I was a music teacher, so like that's the context. Like everything went well. Nothing made me nervous. All these opportunities started showing up, and I had a spring in my step. And if anyone ever asked me, like, "What's your deal right now?" Well, I have a magic pine cone. And I would show it to them, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, so you're like a lunatic. Okay, I get it." But no,
You would show
I'm
that to
sorry.
them. You had
I
it
feel
on
the
you.
same way. Yeah, I feel the same way.
Okay.
And Spencer made one of those little like wrappy things that so I could wear it on a pendant, like a necklace, so it could be like right on my heart. And so I'd be teaching lessons now with generally kids, not always, but a lot of the time kids, and what's with that pine cone? It's neat. Can I
Hmm.
touch it? Can I hold it? Yeah, you can hold it. It's a magic pine cone. It's lucky. It makes you lucky. Like, really? Oh, like I'm holding, they're totally buying into it, no problem. They're not like me where they're like suspicious or
Right.
anything.
That's the beauty of a kid's mind. It's like magic does exist.
Yeah. And they just by holding it, they feel so empowered. Like, wow, I got to
Hmm.
hold Adam's magic pine cone. And so then I start thinking like, okay. So I went out and I picked a bunch of pine cones off of trees. I started giving them out to all these kids and all and my friends and parents. This is a magic pine cone. This will whatever you want. This is luck. Just take it. And you gotta give it the benefit of the doubt. You gotta trust it, or else it won't work. My friend, my friend who we did a lot of creative writing together, and we were pretty close. She took it and she just set it in her car, and it was exposed to sun. The sun tells the pine cone it's warm out. The everything's thawed. Go ahead and open up now and
Hmm.
release all your seeds. So the
Hmm.
pine cone explodes. That and she was very skeptical. She didn't believe it would make her lucky. She was just humoring me.
It's nice that she
Damn thing
humored you, at
exploded.
least.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. These are open-minded people. The kids really liked their pine cones, and I got that thing served me well, and I felt a sense of personal attachment to it. I felt like I adored it. It was my little buddy. So then I started moving. I still kind of felt blessed. I still loved my little pine cone, and I was moving, and I was thinking, sooner or later my pine cone's gonna explode. These the seeds are only so fecund, they
Hmm.
can maybe last 2 to 4 years. The way I was treating it, probably not very long. So I was like, maybe this pine cone wants what every pine cone wants to release its seeds into the earth and become a tree so that it can make more pine cones that are lucky and magic and blessed. So I go to like the university, like the garden store. I'm like all over town talking to people about pine cones. What tree do you think this is from? What species do you think this is? How could I plant this? How can I plant this pine cone? Getting all kinds of advice is really tough. I took it over to Michigan. I believe it was a knotty pine or a
Mm.
knobby pine. I don't remember. It was a while ago.
Naughty
Knotty.
pine.
As I understand, this type of tree is well suited to the Oregon
Biome.
coastal, yeah, biome. And I did plant the tree in Michigan and it did not grow. I
Mm.
planted it the same place where I buried my cat, as a
Oh.
matter of fact. And it never grew. Maybe it'll grow one day, but I think it probably just the seeds died. And when I had to take it apart to get the seeds out, that was very difficult because I was destroying the pine cone for sure. And the promise was that these seeds would make a tree, and they failed to do that. And so the magic is lost. The pine cone is dead. Maybe. But I tried. That was the first time where I actually humored like magical thinking.
Hmm.
Like, if I believe that I'm lucky, I become lucky from my own perspective. That's such a weird thing. And I don't believe that there's any reality in physical reality to it. I just think that like if you believe you have a talisman that makes you lucky or strong or healthy or something, it actually works to the extent as a placebo. It makes you feel that you're special, that you got something looking out for you, like a guardian or something. And I think it is just like, kids with their little blankie or their binky or I think that sticks with us. And this is why, the magenta and red pull is so strong with us that we do wish that like there would be some tool that would just bless us in some way.
Hmm.
And weirdly, if we exercise that wish, it can benefit us psychologically. So this is just it's a question. I'm not like making that as a statement. I'm making that as a question. Like, isn't that interesting?
Hmm.
Because I ended up doing a lot of things like that, and I found them to be pretty beneficial and fun. It's a lot of fun having a magic pine cone.
Will you allow me to psychology this, or do you want to
Yeah,
keep the
dude.
magic?
Of course.
Okay. The pine cone was 100% lucky and magic. In that, you gave it power and permission to allow you to count the little wins.
Hmm.
I had a mentor for a very long time, and I was having the worst business year of my life. Things, well, maybe not of my life, in a long while. My life has gone pretty south business wise before. He made me call him on the phone every single day. And it was like a 3 minute phone call. I had to call him every day at 5 o'clock my time. He was in a different time zone. 5 o'clock my time. I'm expecting a call from you every single day. Every single day, I had to tell him at least one thing that went right. For the first probably 2 weeks, I fought it. I thought it was dumb. I had to call him. So I'd call him and he's like, what's one thing good that happened today? Well, nothing. Nothing good happened today. This went wrong. This went wrong. This went wrong. I was like, I didn't ask that. That wasn't the assignment. The assignment was what went right. And so it would be like the dumbest thing. I'm like, well, I guess I didn't get in a car wreck today. That was pretty
It
good.
wasn't
He's like,
raining.
yeah, great. Okay. Talk to you tomorrow. The next day, yeah, I guess this kind of went my way. Okay. Talk to you tomorrow. And after a while, I started looking for what I was going to tell him. I started or something would happen
Yeah.
that released some endorphins, like, oh, I can't wait to tell him today. He was my pine cone. He
Hmm.
made me focus on the lucky, focus on the good things, because the bad things are going to happen whether you focus on them or not. And it's really easy to focus on the bad things. So by having your lucky talisman, it was lucky. It was magic because it allowed you to ignore some of the bad things or just not register them as bad things because you were looking for what this thing is going to do for you. What luck is this going to bring me today? And so you're looking for the luck and ignoring the bad, like, oh, that wasn't it. Oh, that wasn't it, obviously. Oh, that wasn't it. Oh, my parking spot's gone. Whatever it may be. And then the smallest little positive thing that happened, like, oh, that was the pine cone.
When we started this podcast, I've said this before, I was in a really down and out place. My heart was broken. I was shattered. I was totally lost. And
Mm-hmm.
it was awesome to start this channel. And James was so helpful. I really took that to heart, that idea of, well, I call it celebrating small victories. I'm a
Yeah,
madman. I'm just going around celebrating small victories. Oh, the video didn't turn out how I thought. I finished the video.
but the
It's done.
video's
It's
done.
up. 27 people saw it. Yay.
Yes.
And those are two different attitudes you can have, and is this all in line with the shadow switch idea? Such
Mm-hmm.
a big part of that psychological dynamic is just giving yourself permission to celebrate the things that, even though you're just this dumb little ant, like you did a thing, you meant to, you accomplished it. And if you don't get used to that idea that you're a person that can accomplish things and do things and be successful, then you won't ever be successful or accomplish things, because you have to see a thing to render it into reality. If you can't
Mm-hmm.
imagine yourself winning, you won't win. Can't imagine it. It's not gonna be a surprise to you when you write the best pop song ever. It's gonna be the most boring thing ever because you've done it 20 billion times, because you
Mm-hmm.
believed the whole time that if you just kept
It's
at
in there.
it and did it the right way and just follow the rules, just go the course, you'll do it. Yeah, sure. And is that luck? You can. This is what I was calling it. I'm saying I go to my magenta red mean place and I call it luck, and we can call it psychology, and we can call it self work. It does
Call it
seem though
what
that
you
this
will.
is
It's
so
endorphins.
clutch. The positive assessment of your behaviors, the positive assessment of yourself. Are you trying to be moral? And if so, give yourself a freaking pat on the back for it.
In sales, specific salesperson, Sandler sales system is they call it the wimp junction. Wimp junction. Like, are you going to take the easy way or the hard way? And you have a choice. You can always take the easy way, and you can always
The
take the hard way.
easy way.
Right. It's the same in your viewing of your own life and things that happen in it. The wimp junction, the easy way is to just play the victim. Yeah, shit always happens to me because I'm the person that shit happens to.
Is WIMP an acronym? Why is it a WIMP junction?
Because you're a wimp. You're allowing it to, like, wimp as in like being bullied.
So it's kind of the
Like
difference between like victimhood
wimpy.
and like ownership or
Hmm. You can just play the role of everything happens to me and I don't have a lot of control over it. And mentally, the pine cone took away your wimpness. You're not a wimp anymore. Things aren't happening to you, they're happening for you.
you're the most powerful machine in the universe that we know of. You're the most able to do anything, and we're all the
Hmm.
same. We're all that same machine. All these other people are screwing you over. Well, what are you doing? You're just the same thing as them.
Right.
It's like, yeah,
As
it's hard because there's,
for
yeah.
scientific method, I would argue that for the first couple of days that you had that pine cone, nothing really changed. Same amount
Hmm.
of bullshit happened. You had this talisman that said good things are going to happen. And when good things happened, you noticed those and didn't notice the bad as much. Didn't mean more bad and less bad happened. It just means you ignored this column more.
And this goes back to that comment that we read too, that was describing magenta as like either a rut or a well-worn path. It's like you can use it as a path. You don't need to. It doesn't matter because you can use these orange meme tools too.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, that magenta expression for me worked really well. I think because I'm so light on magenta and superstitious stuff in general, to embrace that one thing was really effective for me. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm so heavy on rational psychological stuff that sometimes that stuff can become a little diluted. I like the some Native American tribal idea of like the medicine pouch. It's all the
Mm-hmm.
things that are
Yeah.
special and endow you with spiritual power or connection to the ancestral spirits. It's not a matter of belief in my case. It's just like if I do that, I get the same benefits that that Native American warrior got, like to the extent that I buy into it. And it's the same deal if I take medication for my mind. If I take something, well, that's going to do things to my physical mind, but a lot of what it's doing is just now I believe I'm medicated for something. I
Mm.
believe I've been fixed, perhaps, that'll have a very similar effect in that sense, other than the fact that like my buffalo scrotum full of like rattles and things
Mm-hmm.
doesn't change my brain chemistry physically, like
Well,
directly.
it does though,
Yeah, it
because
does.
I don't
Not
want to
through
say
chemical, yeah.
to get
Mm.
off your medication because it's doing nothing for you. It is
Nope, not
definitely
saying
doing
that.
things for you.
Yeah, yeah,
I am not a doctor.
no.
What I am saying is that hope is a very powerful drug.
Yes.
That pine cone hit you at a time in your life when you may or may not have felt to the point of hopelessness. And now there's this little thing of hope. And that grew and grew and grew the more faith you put into hope.
We love stories because we are stories. We are a story. We're many stories. We love good stories.
Please
We
tell
love
me you were in Astoria, Oregon.
a story.
Although they all
Um,
pronounce it Astoria, and I tell them, go home. Go back to Astoria then. It's not how it's spelled.
the ego is kind of a story. It's very similar. We remember stuff. We're looking forward to stuff. There's plot. We treat it that way, and that's why stories are so appealing to us. And I think a lot of what it does, what magical thing does, it makes you feel like someone's watching the story if you don't feel like that already.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in our contemporary world, it's more to appreciate that other people care about us and that people are watching our story in real life and that we can make an impact in the world, and that makes the story good. In earlier levels, it's more about like believing that someone, something, many people, many forces are watching your story and rooting for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you feel alone or if you feel unseen or unheard, it can be useful to play pretend if you know that you're doing that. I think it's very important to understand and to be conscious that that is you're deliberately doing that. You're creating story and you're making life into a fantasy story, just fantasizing. And it's fine. It's okay to like I love fantasizing.
You
And
this whole while with the pine cone in your pocket that day one, did you truly believe that there was a bit of magic in your pocket, or you felt hope that maybe it could be magic?
if I think that it was important for me to leave a question mark there. I just don't believe in anything of a physically magically. So no, I would say that I was very aware that I was playing a prank on my own psychology.
But it couldn't
Um,
hurt to do it
it's hard
anyway.
to say that
What
though,
is it?
because like,
I mean, it could hurt to have a pine cone in your pocket, but really, what's the cost of keeping the pine
yeah,
cone?
right. There's that too. It's there's no real risk there. And I always kind of put it in terms of like your relationship with animals, like I love my animal, but they're like a rodent. And so a lot of what our relationship is this imaginary story. It is love and it's real. I mean, there's nothing happening between me and my animal that isn't actually happening. It's just
Hmm.
that I'm imagining it to be a little person, and
Right.
it's not imagining itself to be a little person.
No. Only humans anthropomorphize.
So yeah, to answer the question directly, like I don't think the pine cone had any will or intention whatsoever. But in my mind, I created a little module, I created a little component that was a pine cone that I pretended was separate from me that was talking to me. That's all in my head.
Hmm.
That's all it meant.
Hmm.
I get that. I think, and I don't know for sure, but I think it helps to understand that when you do divination and magic stuff, to understand that you're mostly dealing with psychological
You're
phenomena.
trying to trick your psychology, your own red lights and green lights in your mind. You're tricking it.
It's kind of like big mind. You can play all the characters that you play, and you can actually create them as like dialogical characters. Like I can talk to the Adam who's angry, and I can talk to the Adam who's peaceful. These are entities, and of course, it's all just me bullshitting myself.